Greetings, it's Reggae Hub Massive. We are live to air on the Roots Reggae Hub. It's a special time, Melody Mondays today. It's 12 p.m. noon, lunchtime. We have Janine joining us today from Tanzania. I'm super excited to speak to Janine. It's been many, many years since we met in person here in Toronto. How are you guys feeling? Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Thank you everybody that's rolling in and joining me. I hope to get Janine on here as soon as possible. There's an 8-hour time difference, but we have been coordinating via email, of course, and for months now to prepare for this interview. Everybody, I'm going to send her an invite now. Janine.
Greetings, sister.
Greetings, Empress. How are you?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me well? Yes.
Good.
I can hear you great. Great. Thank you for taking the time. I know you have a young king, and motherhood is so important. As a mother, I know the early first year is
Absolutely.
Especially important. So that's why I feel so humbled to have you with me today, to reason with me today. It's been so long since we met the first time in Toronto.
True.
Your first time here.
That might, what was that, like maybe 15 years ago or something?
It might have been like, I think maybe 10 years. Like it hasn't been so long, but it feels so long. But at the same time, it feels like yesterday. You know what I mean? For everybody who's tuning in, thank you for joining us. I would love for you to tell everyone that's listening, because we're also live on the radio as well as live here on Instagram. Tell everyone in your own words who you are.
That's always such a difficult question, you know. I'm a mother. That's my new thing. I couldn't say that. I can say that now. But depending on who my audience is, you know, I'm a producer, singer, songwriter, reggae musician, multidisciplinary artist, yogi, friend, daughter, lover, black woman, African, all kind of thing, you know, creative.
Yes, you encompass a lot as a human being, as a woman, and also as a mother. I do want to talk to you a little bit about your motherhood and how that's been for you. But first, I want to start at your roots, your foundation. How was your childhood, your family life growing up?
Very, how would you say? Kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie. Like in comparison to all of the drama and the traumas of the world, I had a very beautiful childhood. I grew up with, you know, my mother and father. Father is a pastor, mother is a social worker. Both of them are educators. I mean, second generation, third generation, very angelic people, you know. I'm probably the least angelic of them all, but they're really Irish people, servants, country people, you know, decent, kind of embodied the idea of Christ for me when I'm growing up in the church. So that whole thing was a big deal to me, you know, church and understanding those concepts and wanting to emulate, you know, good people and having those examples, and, you know, having a father who absolutely adored me and made me feel special as a little black girl, and just, you know, really helping with my confidence and my being so articulate and being so, you know, willing and fearless. So I give thanks for those parents. That's kind of how I grew up. I had a sister and brother. My brother passed away many years ago, but we all grew up in a very loving environment, kind of a little bubble, you know, so very different from the outside world, but, you know, we're grateful anyway.
I love that you had that positive childhood, and your roots and foundation of your tree yourself is a strong foundation, especially the way I hear you talk about your father and your connection to him. I feel as a woman, as a young girl, you know, to
Makes
have
all the
that
difference.
example of
Yeah.
both parents, especially. It's solid. Yeah, yeah, it's a blessing. Tell me about your musical mission. I've been listening to all of your albums and all of your music from the very beginning. From I said Janine and I heard avocado and all the. I was like, I even have some avocado here. I was like, I gotta eat some avocado
Good, healthy
today.
fats, very good. My musical mission, I think when I was in university, I remember thinking about, like, I always was writing, always was singing. These were hobbies. This was never something I thought, oh, I'm going to be an artist, you know. But when I studied psychology, human resource development, criminology, and you think, how can I use what I've studied to serve? Because, as I said, my parents are servants, so naturally that is what I'm going to think. You know, this is something important to us. Properly brainwashed that you must serve people, you must take care of people, all of that, you know, naturally. So when I got now the opportunity to either, you know, pursue my master's, I started my master's and then I paused and I'm like, I don't know if sitting in front of people and talking to them one at a time is really the way that I can best make the most impact, you know? And I realized, you know, in Jamaica, you're either an athlete or an artist or a politician if people are going to listen to you, you know? And I had the ability to write, and I was able to write and attract a lot of attention from, you know, other well-known people and other creatives in my environment. So I thought, let me work at this. And I just started to let that evolve and decided the messages that I wanted to share, the gaps that I saw in the messages of, you know, being presented, I wanted to things I was hearing on radio. And so that's kind of what I did. And because my background isn't, you know, artist and clique around me, pushing me, it was, you know, academics. So my music sounded that way. And when I entered the scene and I found other artists, you know, of similar age with a similar kind of vibe, we spoke about books and literature and lifestyle and things like that. And it kind of, you know, spiraled into what we see today as people taking a more educated approach to what they're delivering to people rather than just, you know, gimmicks. So that was my mission, to really make a difference, not just in people's lives, but in the industry that I wanted to affect. And primarily to do it through Rastafari, which I thought was a beautiful tradition to use to empower young black men and women, you know, an African king. And the principles and philosophies were perfectly aligned with my own. When I read His Imperial Majesty's autobiography, I realized this man is the embodiment of everything that I learned as a child about Christ, everything that I understood about being a decent leader and being a good man to a woman. Like, he embodied it all. And so that was kind of my sword and shield. I went into the industry Rastafari. So certain people just never bring certain things to me because, oh, she a Rasta, oh, she not got into that, oh, you know what I mean? So it was my protection and it was also my sword because I got to speak with that voice of decades of struggle and authentic Afrocentrism, you know, that kind of house. It was about Africa for me.
I love that. The themes in your music and your lyrics and your philosophies of life, you've been true, I feel like, to yourself from myself to the beginning when I first met you till now. You have evolved, of course, and you've grown into motherhood, of course, and you have a brighter light aura about you. I don't know, because I mean, it takes a lot, you know, to have a child. And I heard you speak of it a little bit in your live back in December when you did the updates. You know, bigging up all the women that have done it. And it's not a small feat, you know, to carry and to bring life, to open and use yourself as a portal to bring through life. And you were so poetic in the way, you know, you described it. Tell me about motherhood for you. How has it changed your perspective on humanity itself and life and your liberty?
We don't have time. But I will say this. I will say that, you know, it's one thing to understand it in terms of the biology of it and the, you know, the principle of it. But it's another thing to really submit your body to be terraformed in that way. and to imagine that you have been chosen to be a portal, and this entity is going to feed on your biological material and your spiritual material, and it's going to transfer between you, even on a chemical level. It's going to imprint on you, you're going to imprint on them. They're going to, I mean, it's a powerful metaphysical journey. And you cannot go through that experience and not be transformed. And the more I learn about it and having experienced it, and the 9 months of going through that, and it's one of those things where all of the issues that you may have in your body, they're gonna come up. Any issues, anything growing out of proportion, all of those things, because your perfect child is in your body, sending out stem cells to help you, to heal you, to do all of these things while you nourish him. So it can seem like a parasitic relationship, but it is also something very symbiotic and something very beautiful. And to bring forth a child in that way, and then to go into labor, to go through that experience of water breaking, and now a youth is coming, and okay, this youth is inside of you, there's a real person in there. You don't know what he looks like. I didn't check what gender it was. I just kind of gave him his privacy, and so I didn't know anything about this entity. I just knew how he felt and the relationship I was having with him. And when it was time to come, I spent days in labor, maybe 2 days in labor, just and I refused everything. I was like, no, I don't want that. No, I'll sign whatever. I don't want anything. Just leave me alone. And I really wanted to have an actual experience of it. And it was kind of the most transformative, most incredible experience of my life. Like, I mark time now by that day, by those days, by those moments, and bringing that youth forward and trying to breathe him into life and say, how do I know when I'm doing enough? Because I've never done this before, and nobody can really describe to you what it is like to push a youth into the world. You know what I mean? You think you're doing enough, and then you realize you're still not doing enough. There's more, and you're like, okay, all right. And you have to literally leave your body. And I literally remember leaving my body and just kind of, he's laughing at me, leaving my body and just reorganizing myself outside to just push beyond what I thought I could do. And then hearing the sound like, okay, that's what it takes. You have to completely surrender. You cannot think about you have to just, think about this youth. You have to give in to him. Or, I don't know if that's what it's like for everybody. Some people maybe it might just be like boom bang. But for me, it was like, girl, surrender. Let go. Relax. Breathe. You can't push this youth out. You have to breathe this youth out, and that's kind of what happened. And then when he came out and they put him on me, and I saw, okay, it's a boy, baby. Okay. And all of the drama, it was a whole movie. But the short version of it is, he looked at me and I was like, okay. I didn't remember none that happened before. I'm like, okay, this is real now. This is real. This little boy exists now. And since that moment, he kind of governs my perspective. And so wherever there's confusion, and wherever there is like, I'm not sure, or, this adversity and the challenges of life in general, now in this dispensation of time, like, I just use him as my lens, and it really helps to make a lot more things clear. So I give thanks for him. He's my teacher. He's my ancestor. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
I love that. And I love hearing him in the background doing his little cool. He's like, yes, mama. Yes, speak it.
Yeah. He's just learning to crawl now and stand on his own in the past week. So he's so full of energy now, like falling a lot more. And I just, watching him grow, it's just amazing. Like, all the parents out there, you remember your first child, like, everything is new, and you're like, wow, look at that. Look at the clothes that used to fit you, and now, it's just amazing. Like, there is nothing more exciting happening in my life right now.
I love that. I love hearing you speak and the joy in your eyes. And every mother or parent knows, what that's like to see your child for the first time, and to see yourself new again, because you are learning as they're learning. And it's such a joy. Thank you for sharing that story with us today. Tell me something important you learned from your parents or your grandparents or even great-grandparents that you will pass down to your son.
So many things, so many things. I am so close to my parents. Like, they are my best friends. Like, they're the ones I call. They're the ones I talk to about everything. I have an unnaturally close relationship with my parents. So they're gems all the time. And I think that's what I will pass down to my child. Just that your family is your greatest asset. You know, have good relationships. I want to cultivate that kind of openness with him, so he feels like he can come to me first. He can talk to me first. I will never judge him. I will love him unconditionally. I will give him every advantage that I can, and then I will step out of his way and learn from him. You know, that's what they did with me. So that's what I will pass on to him as well.
Love that. Yes, it's so important. You know, I do believe we are our ancestors, and you know, the DNA and the intelligence that lives within us, and we're passing that down, you know, whether it be traits, musical traits, or you know, the way you think, or even you know, a way you move your hair at the side, like little
Absolutely.
things like
Absolutely.
you're gonna notice.
Hundreds of traits. And I was watching a psychologist recently, and he was talking about how we as parents really have to be a little more gentle with ourselves, because we are not responsible for how our children turn out. Like, we do the best we can, but there are hundreds of traits that they inherit from both sides of their family that want to express, you know, itself in addition to what is outside. So as much as you may have the most influence, you are not responsible for how they turn out. So you really just have to do the best you can, and then graciously, you know, surrender.
I love that. A lot of people, you know, they want to hold on so tight and control, but it's a human being, you know, in its own way.
We just have to think about
form.
our own selves and how we struggle against everybody trying to shape us, to understand what we're in for when these kids grow up, you know?
Yes. I love the choice you made, moving as well. We're going to talk about Africa, but first, I want to talk about your Steam sessions, online workshops. Are there going to be any future dates? Because there's been success.
Absolutely.
Is there anything
absolutely.
going on with this?
So
I want to learn.
I have a project called the Chalice Station, and it was an NFT project that I did last year, launched at 420. And that was a time when everybody was learning about NFTs and learning about, you know, an alternative sources of making money, literally, you know, and kind of a decentralized approach to building your own wealth. And during that time, I wanted to, I mean, I'm one of those people who I will deep dive into something, learn about it, and I want to experiment with it. And so I invested in myself, and I experimented with this and my community, and shared it and put it out there. It was a success in some ways, and it was a disappointment in other ways, but those who are in the industry like, no, it's a success. That's how it goes. It starts off small, you have to, you know. So I've learned a lot of patience and grace with that as well. But it was a project that allowed me to start to build a beautiful community of people, because the people who did buy the NFT, they ended up being very, I mean, we all are very close now. We stay in touch because I do these sessions. We talk about steaming. We have a whole community on Discord where people are sharing their stories, how they steam, their whole journey with ganja. And the idea is to kind of rebrand ganja from just, you know, smoking and getting high, to understanding how herb affects the body, how it heals the body, how it can be blended with other herbs, and how herbs in general are what the Most High has provided for our medicine. And especially being here in Africa, understanding how, you know, there is a cure for everything in nature, you know? So always having that relationship with nature, and my own experiences with ganja over the years, and how it has moved certain things out of my body and cured certain things out of, you know, other people that I have administered it to in different forms. I am an absolute advocate and, you know, proponent of this thing. So I wanted to create a community of people to kind of look at ganja in this way. And while I was because I'm in Tanzania now, I don't have, I mean, it's not legal here, so I can't be promoting ganja. So I'm promoting the Steam Chalice, which is the way that you use it. And the Steam Chalice is not just for ganja, it is also for any kind of herb, any botanical that you can use to make a tea. You can put it in the Steam Chalice, you can blend it, and you can get the beneficial essentials from it, you know. So the whole project was about educating people about that. And so in addition to the NFT, and in addition to teaching them about that, I created a glass Steam Chalice that I put for sale, because after the NFT project finished, we only sold it for a certain time, and then we started to now sell. What we have on sale now is the glass chalice, which is a device. It's the traditional steam chalice design, this first round of it, but it's all glass. So it's a more meditative and educational process, because you get to see how the water works, you get to see how the bubbling works, you get to see how the herb is dehydrating, you get to watch the process, which is beautiful, which helps you to be more mindful of how you're using it, how you're controlling your breath. And you know, the breathwork element of steaming is kind of the most crucial part of it, as far as I'm concerned, because that's what helped me to expand my lung capacity. And that is what, in this whole COVID dispensation of time, that is what we need. We need to be able to check on ourselves and heal ourselves with these different herbs that are available. So steam sessions, I put it on primarily for the people in the community, but other people, you know, they paid and they came and they were able to learn how to properly and efficiently steam. Because everybody can steam if they like, but there's a way, I call it chalice pranayama, that I've developed, where you can effectively get everything you need for your brain in just 3 inhales if you learn how to do the complete yogic breath and apply that to the steam chalice. So the steam sessions are all about learning how to do that, all the pro tips for steaming, and kind of how to process what's happening to your body and your brain, and how to do it in the most efficient way in the different, you know, etc. That's the steam sessions. And I also did the breathwork sessions, which is for the people who are not trying to steam, but they also want to learn those parts of it. And I did a shorter session that was just based on the breathwork only. And yes, those sessions are going to be coming back this year, maybe next month, but you know, I have to check with the boss and just make sure that I have available time, because it does require a lot of me, you know, but I definitely want to start it again. So everybody look out for that. Go to chalicestation.life, check out the glass chalice. When you buy a glass chalice, you're going to get one of the phase 2. The next round of NFTs coming up later on this year, as well as you get access to the steam sessions, all of them breathwork sessions for free. So it's not just a glass chalice, you're entering the Chalice Station community. Yeah, a mouthful.
I am excited for this because I'm definitely joining, and I was obviously looking into the NFTs. A lot of reggae artists, you know, join the movement of NFTs. I think it's very smart considering what's going on in the economy. I love your little NFT, look just like you. Like, and Crypto Ra says, I did join the Discord for that. I do want to learn about the breath work, because I do want to expand my lungs and open up my lungs and my ability to breathe, as someone who, you know, suffered from asthma at a young age. It's something I'm going to be joining to learn from you. And I heard you talk about adding ginger into your chalice,
orange peel,
slice,
dried orange peel,
you're on
ginger,
a next level.
garlic, rosemary, skullcap, peppermint, all of the lovely things that are calming and soothing, even lavender, even rose petals. Some of my friends even use like frankincense. Like, you can experiment with different things. It's just dosage, you know? And everything, of course, is moderation. And everything, of course, is observing. Doing a little bit of it, observing your body, making sure that you are processing it well, your body's, you know, metabolizing it well. Yeah. When you steam it, it gets there quickly, but it doesn't last as long as when you ingest it, and it takes a long time to reach you, but it stays a long time in the system.
Wow. There's so much to learn there. So I'm going to be looking out for your workshops. Everyone who's tuned in on the radio, if you're not here on the Instagram live, you have to follow John9 at John9 Online. She's also on Twitter as well for all the updates on the workshops and the Chalice Get One of Your Own. I'm going to be ready as soon as you drop the dates.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to join you for that, because breath work is the key for me.
Yes, I'll come in there. Absolutely.
Tell me about life lessons you might have learned in 2022. This is a new year. The Chinese New Year is pretty much now, I think it is as well. Everyone has their own New Year of sorts.
Life lessons.
What did the past year teach you?
Man, I am just in a constant state of learning right now. I'm learning a lot about myself, because I am not always the easiest person to deal with. I'm used to, as I said, I'm very introverted, I'm extroverted too, but mostly introverted because I'm around my family a lot and they understand how to deal with me and they don't take things personally. And I'm a very straightforward person. I am not necessarily, I don't sugarcoat things, you know. I'm articulate, I speak quickly. I mean, that might be intimidating for some people. That might rub people the wrong way. They don't, a lot of people just don't want to deal with the truth of who they are. And I can be a mirror. So you're dealing with me, whatever you put out, you're going to get it. So I just learned that, okay, you maybe a little much for people to handle in the real, you know what I mean? So just be gentle with people. Just be gentle. And Africa has been that for me. It has been a softening and an opportunity to just express grace with myself and with others as well. And where I am right now is a beautiful place where I feel very empowered to be myself and to be the most feminine version of myself unapologetically. And, you know, and when I am faced with people who have an issue, I just try to express grace with them because I can't change for you, but I definitely can show you compassion, you know? And it's just trying to continue to learn the boundaries and the limits of compassion and at what point must you be firm, at what, it's just the delicate nature of the human interpersonal interaction. That is what I am learning more about now. And having a son who is at this terrorist age where he has these demands and he expects to be dealt with immediately, you know, but at the same time he has this big beautiful smile on his face. So it's like I don't have the capacity to be frustrated with him. You know what I mean? It's very humbling. So he has been my teacher for 2022, just teaching me more and more grace and, you know, yeah.
I love that. I love that you're already learning from your son and you're learning together. And that will continue throughout your life and his life. And I love that you said with Africa and bringing out your femininity, you know, and you're able to connect with the divine feminine through being there. Tell me what it was like, your new life now in Tanzania. Was it difficult to transition from, you know, the old way of life? And would you recommend to others to forward to Africa?
Absolutely. I mean, even if you are not going to pack up your things and run and come, take a visit. Come and feel it. Don't come here expecting Wakanda forever. Come here humbly and let it wash over you and teach you who you need to be here. Humble yourself, come have the experience, eat the food, breathe the fresh air, bathe in the waters, observe yourself, observe the people, and then go back where you came from, compare, decide, make a proper plan, then come back, then spend more time, then leave again. You know what I mean? These are good suggestions. Like, don't run in, you know? And decide where it is you're going. Decide, you know, East Africa is a different vibe from West Africa, different from South Africa. You know, for me, I like very chill, very laid back, you know, easy, light. So I'm in East Africa, and this feels like home to me. And Tanzania is like a metaphysical portal. There's so many amazing and powerful energetic spaces here. The Serengeti, Ngorongoro Crater, the River Nile, you know, Kilimanjaro. I mean, powerful, powerful spaces. So I feel all of that energy and I feel very drawn to it. I didn't make a plan to come here. I kind of ended up here for my own protection. The divine just pulled me here and kept me here. And I spent like many, many months just indoors and inside myself, because Tanzania is one of the few places that never really experienced like the whole pandemic. It was just mostly business as usual. Mild changes, but mostly just, you know, people going about their business, everything irate. None of the drama of the outside world. So it was like I was watching a movie and I was very much feeling safe and like, I'm not going anywhere. So even now when it's kind of eased off, it's like I have to try and reacclimate myself to the world now. But had I not gone through that, I would not have had my son. I would not have made, I mean, all the strides that I did just on an internal level. So I'm grateful.
Yes. I hear him over there. Okay,
exactly.
I won't keep her too long, I promise. I can't play any of your music here on Instagram, but I've curated a playlist of all J9 music for everybody that's tuned in on Instagram. You'll have to, once our reasoning is done here, I have a full mix of J9 music back to back, her hottest tracks from the beginning, new name, all of them are in there. My top favorites, and also the newer album that you released in 2020. I'm so glad you were in Tanzania. I'm so glad you were, isolated and away from what we were dealing over here in Canada. It wasn't pretty. So I'm definitely looking into Africa, and anyone else who's interested, do your research. There's a lot of countries. It's the biggest continent on the map, even though they try to make it look like it's smaller.
And also, I mean, a part of what I'm doing here, in addition to just trying to kind of build a circuit so we can bring some musicians here and, create our own circuit separate from the usual reggae circuit of America, Europe, but moving through the continent in that way. And you have to spend the time and learn and see. You can run in and do those things, in addition to the retreats and the tours that I've been doing. We have another round of those coming up. We have some trips to Arusha. So through all of those beautiful spaces I told you about, the Serengeti, Ngorongoro, Kilimanjaro, the hot springs, the mountains, all of that. We want to do a tour of that. We have limited spots available, but we're going to do a really arid tour in Arusha. Check that out. Information coming on that soon, as well as Zanzibar in December for our yoga retreat, Feel Good in Zanzibar reboot. Yeah. So we want to create spaces and allow people to come, to save up on the money and prepare to come and feel what it feels like this year.
Blessings. A lot is going on. 2023 is a big year. I will definitely want to reach again. I went to Africa once, but it was South Africa.
Very different.
And it wasn't, the Africa. Very different. Very segregated. I want to do the East Coast, of course, and Egypt and all these places, and I want to do all of it because I have to choose where I want to be if I'm going to relocate and leave Canada, which seems like I'm going to at this point. Tell me some ways to connect with nature.
Just grounding, just being outside, breathing deeply when outside. So the same principles of the breath work. It's just, for me, breath work in nature is experiencing nature in the fullest. You know what I mean? So just being outdoors, like being barefoot outside, and observing the phases of the moon, observing yourself and how the phases of the moon, affect you, especially if you're a woman, observing a cycle and how it is affected by the phases of the moon. Making sure that you experience water, you have a water ritual in your life. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's laughing at me. Okay.
All right. If you have to go, feel free to tell me, okay? If you do have to go, it's okay. Just let me know. Tell me about the messages in your music. What do you want people to feel when they're listening?
Empowered.
Or to learn.
I want people to feel empowered. I want people to remember that they are the masters and that they are not victims. I want to just burn out this whole victim state of mind out of people's heads. This oppressor and, the constant state of PTSD that we're in, where we're so traumatized by the media and traumatized by white fragility or white supremacy or whatever they want to call it. And just, just hold on to the fact that, we are empowered. We are empowered by our melanin. We are empowered by our ancestry and our legacy. We're empowered by our continent. We're empowered by the Most High. We are connected beyond race and all of these social constructs, you know what I mean? And what holds us together is love, and love is the most empowering thing. It is a uniting force. It is not always nice, but it is always real, and it is always necessary. So it's love we want them to feel,
Yes, love. What? Tell me about the album Note to Self. I mean, it came out at a very good time because I was listening to it when in my lockdown scenario, and music really saved the day for a lot of people during what happened. Tell me about the concept for the album and how it and your main message
Note
for
to
Note
Self
to Self
is kind
now.
of just a similar vibe. It's really, I mean, the name speaks for itself. It was an opportunity for me to look at themes of self-discovery, self-love, self-study, and self-governance, you know. And as a part of that, I created a Note to Self challenge, which kind of broke down how to apply these principles to your own life, to do your own soul searching, and to do your own personal development. And that's really what it was. It was self-empowerment and personal development and heavy introspection and shadow work, so that we could really deal with some of the not so pretty parts of ourselves and also celebrate the beautiful parts of ourselves. You're going to give me 1 second? Let me just
That's such a crucial time. Yes, go. Note to Self, if anybody has not heard Note to Self, the album is definitely a journey within, and you can follow along Janine as she is very vulnerable in the lyrics, very expressive in looking within, finding herself. There's lots of songs on the album that I love. My Heart is one of them, Each Man, Note to Self, of course. That's also featuring Chronics. Highly, yet to me, some of my favorite tracks on the album, of course. So if you haven't heard the album and you have not, give it a stream, listen here. Following the reasoning tonight, I will be playing Note to Self and select songs. A lot of Janine music and tracks back to back on rootsreggaehub.com. How is he?
I put him closer now. I did.
Did you bring him close? Yeah. He wants to be
big
close
grin on your face.
sure.
Now. That's what you want.
He looks like he's already a star.
He's amazing. So. But I mean, everybody thinks their kid is amazing, you know? So, yeah. I'm great.
If I had a bad child, I would have said, listen, you're a bad child. But I'm blessed enough to have a good one, too, still. But tell me about the goddess Mahat. You have a track on Note to Self called Mahat. Tell me what she represents to you.
Mahat is one of the spheres of the spirit. So, you know, when we are learning about these things from our own people, we don't learn about it like physical people. These are principles, and Mahat represents the principle of balance and justice and truth. And of all the principles, you know, this is the principle that helps us align with God, the Most High, because it is how we weigh ourselves against, you know, who we are supposed to be, quote unquote, supposed to be, our ideal self, our true self, free from all of the bondage of suffering versus who we actually are. So that which keeps us kind of in line with where we're headed in our lives. Not necessarily on a material level, like, you know, being successful and financially stable and all of these things that are important, but it is also very important. Are we always in truth? Are we always kind? Right? Not nice, but kind. Are we always not stealing? You know, these are the principles, the 42 laws of Ma'at. These are the principles that the 10 Commandments came from. These are the same principles that, you know, the yamas and niyamas of yoga come from. All of this is to monitor the self. All of this is to observe the self and to weigh the self against the ideal, you know, to ensure that there is truth and justice prevailing in and outside of ourselves. So this is why it was crucial for me. Even though that song doesn't even have the word Ma'at in it, it just represents that principle in, you know, in the approach.
Yes. A lot of people are confused sometimes. They see these, you know, Egyptian gods and they think these are people or they were, you know, but these are principles of life, especially the 42 laws. If you can get up every day and say, you know, I shall not steal, I shall be honest and truthful, and you make those commands or dedications in the morning, and then you can go to sleep and rest your head on a pillow and say, I did not.
These are the things, this is how they brought up the children. These laws are for the children. Yes. So when you're thinking about the laws of Ma'at, think about it that this is how you are raised. So that by the time you're an adult, this is inside of you. You you've internalized it so much that you're not repeating it to yourself anymore, you know? They're the negative confessions. So it's more like, I did not steal. I did not do these things. I did not do the wrong thing. You know what I mean? It's just the perspective again. So it's understanding the principles. Because our ancestors balanced the right brain and the left brain, you know, the feminine and the masculine. So they're not just left brain and having to look at everything in a very segregated way, like, okay, this is the female goddess Ma'at who looks like this. You know, they understand that these things can be very subjective, and they can be in theory and in principle, as well as in actual, you know, physical, morphological form. So it's just being open. It's an intuitive kind of thing, because now, so many years later, nobody can say this is exactly what this is, you know what I mean? So we have to internalize these principles and make them make sense to us, and use our intuition and our right brain and our spirit and our gut and our heart to internalize these things and process them and make them whole, instead of arguing about the semantics of things and, you know, what people looked like and what they meant by whatever. Like, what does it mean in your life, and how are you living it? You get me?
Janine, the power on top of power. Thank you. Let's talk about destiny. It's been a theme, an undercurrent in the last few months, and you know, I spoke to Queen Omega about it, and I touched base on a few artists. I asked what their perspective is on destiny. Do you believe our destiny is already planned out for us, or that we are in control of our own destiny?
All right. So the English language, no. English language is a trap, you know. I don't even know. I will say I don't know what destiny means, because when I'm talking now on social media to all kind of different people in different backgrounds and all kind, I have to say, I don't know what destiny means. I don't know what it means to people. I want people to feel like they are the masters of their own reality. It is crucial that we understand that. And when you think about concepts like destiny, you can't, let me see, when I think about concepts like destiny, I do not think about it like, okay, I'm thinking about Janine's destiny. I have to look at all of the lives I have lived. I have to look at myself outside of my physical form now and who I am in this particular, you know, cycle. I have to think about when some of my decisions were made before I even came into this world. I have to think about astrology and things that were mapped out because of when I chose to come into this earth. Decisions I made that I don't even remember making because I made them in another plane of existence, you know. And that is where I have to have a conversation of destiny from, because destiny cannot be an excuse, you know, in this time now when I have forgotten so much of how those decisions were made. It has to be that I am manifesting things, and I am in tune and aligned with nature and with my highest self, so that when I do make errors, I can fall into place, because we're not perfect and we're not striving for perfection. We're on a path, and it may take many, many lifetimes to achieve what we are here to do. But we're here to have experiences, and we can look at things like mistakes. We have to look at everything is part of the journey. There is no good and bad. There's no polarity consciousness where it's either that or that. Like, there's a whole spectrum of life to experience. And if we are following the principles that our ancestors left, then we don't have to get confused. Whichever language you speak, the universal language of love will supersede it. And understanding nobody can make you a victim, nobody can oppress you. You know, you're responsible for your feelings, you're responsible for your thoughts, you're responsible for your actions, you know. So I don't want to hear about destiny in some context, because I hear it used as an excuse a lot as well. So we have to be careful how we throw words in these kind of contexts where all different backgrounds listen and people don't get a chance to really dialogue about these themes in a context, you know. I hope that answers it.
Yes, you hit the nail on the hammer, or the hammer on the nail, when you said, you know, the way the word, you know, and the meaning behind the word. Words and meanings are so important, and the way we try to define things that we see can alter our perspective.
That's not left brain.
On our soul's journey. So, yeah, it's serious stuff. It's very serious stuff. So I love that answer. Conquer, divide, and rule. You know, the plan, quote unquote, plan of Babylon in a lot of people's eyes. How do we go about raising the collective consciousness as a people and come together, you know, more cohesively and unified?
Breathing. Everybody just needs to chill and breathe. Like if we could just slow down and just take a breath. Sometimes we get so agitated, we are holding our breath and we don't even realize, right? Drink some more water, hydrate and breathe deeply. Making decisions from a place of calm, right? I do not have the answers for anybody else's life, right? I have not walked in their shoes. I can make assumptions, and I will, especially if I love you, I'm going to make lots of assumptions because I'm trying to help. But if I don't know you, worse, I cannot tell you how your story goes. But I can encourage you that if you breathe deeply, keep your lungs and your brain fully oxygenated, move, yeah, so that you can experience lymphatic drainage, because your lymphatic system requires movement. Get the waste out of your body, yeah? Make sure you're properly hydrated so that your bowels are moving at least once a day, yeah? You're breathing, you're moving, you're eating well, you're eating majority, more than 50% of your food is live or plant-based, right? I'm not preaching anything other than just this roughage is going to help with all of that, right? Because your mental health starts with your gut health. If you have a healthy gut flora, your brain going to work better. Facts. If you drink alcohol, you have to balance it with certain herbs and certain other things, because you have to replace what you are depleting. If you drink coffee, you have to replace what you are depleting. Everything in moderation. These are the things that we need to practice on an individual level, so that we can have better interpersonal relationships as man and woman, so that we can have better overall relationships with our families, so that we can have better overall relationships with our communities, our nations, and the world. Because it starts with the individual. After that, yeah, nobody don't need to solve nobody's problem for them. People just need to get out of their own way, have better habits, do better, and you will see your own mind improve.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Starts with yourself, and hydrating is very important. I drink a lot of water. I try to drink more water every day.
Me too.
I wasn't sure with the avocado song. I'm like, is Janine really in love with avocado song?
No, I didn't start eating avocado until after I was like 18 years old. I used to dislike avocado. You could not get me to eat avocados, right? But I fell in love with it after. I don't know, you know, just sometimes later in life, you just try something and all of a sudden it's just brand new to you. You're like, what? I was missing out on this. I actually wrote that song at my breakfast table. And I have an avocado tree outside my house, and I have one of those big green avocados. If you're in Jamaica, you know we can have some real sexy, curvaceous, big green avocado. You cut inside and it's yellow like butter, and it's just nice. And I cut that and eat it with my banana, my greens, and I tell you, say, the song come into my meditation like, avocado, I love the avocado. Yeah? And it just was something playful that I did. Because I'm a foodie, like food is my friend, you know? So, I have quite a bit that I write about food, but I definitely shared that one. Definitely had to share that one.
I love it. I was like, what? And it just makes you want to, you know, if you put a feel-good song, yes. Tell me about your dreams and visions. What's your biggest goal, mission, or dream to be accomplished this year, 2023?
Well, I mean, all of the things that I mentioned before, all of the projects that we have on the way, we're trying to make them happen. But at the same time, we are also flexible, because anything can happen and you can't be too attached to any outcome. You have to just take life as it comes. You make your plans, but you know that, yeah, anything can happen. I have to be flexible and open to change, because if you're wanting 2020 taught us, you know, you can't really plan for the future, really and truly. You just have to do your best every day, right? So I am having these projects. I have a new single that's going to be coming out soon. Exciting, first single in years. Working on the new album as well, and in addition to the music, there's the wellness, you know, there's more teaching online, starting to teach some more in the physical here. We have the Lifecraft group of companies that we've started here in Tanzania, so that we can do this wellness work on the ground here in Tanzania, as well as have the tours, so the I can forward in a safe, trusted environment and come and see the country and have an experience and know that you're protected, and you know what I mean, nobody not gonna rip you off, nobody not gonna rob you. And the retreats as well, where people can come, because the retreats are an opportunity to just do the whole note to self work, you know, and do that work in a safe environment, and cry if you need to cry, stretch, learn to stretch, do all of that work on the ground, you know. So just putting the programs in place, you know, and seeing them work. And my primary thing this year is just to watch my boy grow, you know what I mean, to make sure that I am there for him. I have some dates on the road, but I'm really not trying to fill up my schedule this year. This is his most crucial year, and I just want to be there and make sure that he knows that I am there.
I saw you did mention you'd be available in, like, more in Africa and the UK, and so we might not see you in Canada anytime soon. I know you,
listen,
you have to focus on
everything, you know. You have to understand.
I hope so.
Cost. And for me to go in these places, it has to be worth it. It has to make sense practically, right? And so practically, I'm not trying to go into any distances. However, I may actually be going to that side. You know, I've been in talks, because I have been getting a lot of calls since I put that out. So I'm like, okay, let's see what we can do. So if it is that, you know, we can put some things together, we very well might be across on that side. And if we're going to do a show, any city we're doing a show in, we're going to do either yoga and dub or groundings or some kind of session, you see me, where we can touch the people in another way as well, other than just the music.
All right, guys. I wanted to take a couple questions from the audience for Jenna. I hate to leave the audience out, so let me just look at the questions I see. 6 of them here. I don't know if I can see. Here they are. The first question is from Steve.
Akebeka have any influence on me in my growth and maturation of self-realization? You know, in the sense that he was an incredible artist. Like, he was a shaman with the music. And I had the pleasure of actually watching him create. Because we spent some time together and just, you know, in studio just vibing to some music. And I got to see his process. And he is otherworldly with it. It just poured out of him. Like, his singular purpose was to give us that music and to just, you know, be a vessel in that way. And so it really helped to put in perspective. He's one of those artists, you know, they say you shouldn't really meet your favorite artist because it's usually a disappointment. He's one of the few artists that ever, like, surpassed my expectations. Humble, beautiful in every way, and just, like, majestic, you know, majestic. He just put everything into his craft. Like, that's what he came for, that's what he delivered, you know, even at the detriment of his own health. He just pumped out so much music. Like, he was in studio the night before he passed. So, you know, we are very grateful, and we've learned a lot from a man who has that kind of dedication to presenting himself and the music and the works of the Most High in such a very pointed way. So absolutely.
Amazing. Question from Sharon. Can you do an online yoga session on her birthday?
Well, you know, maybe you want to take a trip to Tanzania. You just might get what you ask for, because we're going to be doing some amazing sessions here in August. But yeah, you never know. Email me.
All right. Okay. We'll take a couple more, then we'll let Janine and her young king go. Okay, one of them is asking, Ultimate
about ganja.
Mo, respected, and would you educate your child about ganja?
Will I educate him? I will educate him about all of the herbs and all of their uses, and just all food, and I mean, learning that food is medicine primarily, you know, and you don't eat for your tongue, you eat for your stomach. Your tongue is information, it tells your brain what's going in, but we don't just eat because, oh, this sweet, it tastes nice, it satisfies this part of my brain, because a lot of times it's the worms that we're really eating for, you know what I mean? And they are the ones controlling our brains and sending chemical signals, making us think we're craving things that really are detrimental to our bodies. So we're going to inform the youth about nutrition in general, because ganja is not just for, you know, smoking or steaming. The leaves are also full of powerful, powerful nutrients that help to regulate the body. It is such an efficient plant. So we make sure we educate the youths about ganja and all other herbs, you know, and he's free to use it if he so desires when he's of an appropriate age that it won't cause him any harm. Yeah.
Yes. I will take one last question. I know I see a lot of them. Oh, some of them are just commenting your website.
Yeah.
Miss Maxie saying she wants the Steam Chalice together.
Well, you know what? Go to janine.com for information about my music, but go to chalicestation.life. Chalicestation.life to find out about all of the things regarding the Steam sessions. Steam sessions are going to be coming again soon, but right now we have the chalice on sale. So if you buy a glass chalice, you're going to be automatically involved in all of the Steam sessions. And you'll get a free Steam session complimentary with me as soon as you buy a chalice. I'm the one who's going to teach you how to use it. So there's that.
Thank you so much, Janine. Thank you for your time. One last question before you go. Tell me something most people don't know about you or would never in a million years guess.
Wow. There's so many. What's appropriate? Oh no. That I prefer to write than to sing. That I prefer to write and produce than to sing and perform. You know? I don't know if people would assume that, but I love the creative process more than performance. And this is why I'll write for other artists and I'll do that kind of work, because for me, it is the creation more than anything else. So soon, I won't even be on the stage. I'll just be writing and helping other young people to, you know, maximize their own potential.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to let Empress Janine go.
Thank you so much for having me.
Is ready for her.
Enough love from me and Lish here in Tanzania. Bless up, bless up. Enough respects. See you all soon. Check out the websites, check out the socials, support the music, support the projects. And enough love to you, sister. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Janine.
Blessed love.
Okay. Kiss him for me. Give him a big hug and kiss for me. All love from Roots Reggae House.